David Arquette, WCW champion. You're listening in the Potsy and Tino show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings you as tag team champions of the world. That's right, the Potsy and Tino show. He's Tino, I'm Potsy. Our theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. Want to thank David Arquette, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. No. He was busy, and that's what it was. So don't sit there and that's exactly what it was. I caught him as he was running out of the convention. Anyways, but
that was cool.
There you go. Okay.
That was cool.
Yes.
So this fool texts me and goes, I got a surprise for you. You want it now? You want it later? I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter.
Well,
and then you kept like, okay, well, you're gonna like it. You probably won't like it. You're gonna hate it. I'm like, all right, dude, I can wait. Well, and then he was like,
I really wanted you to say that you wanted it.
No, I didn't. And then I said, and then you gave me all the former world champion, and I read on your Facebook that you met David Arquette. I'm like, okay, it's David Arquette. You're like, you're really bad at surprises. No, you are. You couldn't leave it alone. You kept having to drop the hints. I'm like, bitch, I know. Once you said that.
That was true. You sound like Muttley from damn Laugh Olympics. Like all of a sudden.
You're mad at me because I guessed it. You're bad at surprises. I'm like, bitch.
I always try to like surprise you.
You should let it go then.
I couldn't. I was excited.
I know, but then you got mad when I guessed.
I was excited, and it was because like I started thinking when I do these shows, it shouldn't matter if they're wrestlers or not. I should just start asking people if they want to do like a.
It's cooler because it's a wrestling show to have wrestlers. So, but that's what I'm saying too. Yeah.
And that's like when I was wearing the God of War style Potsy and Tino shirt. I was like, I walked up to him. I'm like, David, hey, do you mind doing a quick spot for the YouTube show? And he looks at me and he goes, it's called the Potsy and Tino show. Like, this is the shirt, right? Just like we did at the other. And he goes, I got you. And I was like, and originally, and this is why Tino thought he was drunk, is because I sent Tino the first video that he sent. Just like Teddy Long, where Teddy Long completely botched it, and he goes, well, player, I guess you got yourself a second video if you could figure out how to do it. But David Arquette was like, can we do it again? And I'm like, absolutely. And so he goes, and he did the second video, and the second video was fine. Yeah. Like I obviously have to cut like a third of a second off of the end of it because it goes to me for no reason. But he was super cool.
That's awesome.
And let me just tell you, as I walked up to him, he's like walking to go visit with his family. His family actually showed up at the convention yesterday. No.
I know, I'm teasing.
No, he's not married to Courtney Cox anymore. Though they keep in touch.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the You Cannot Kill David Arquette documentary about him wanting to become a pro wrestler again. By the way, and I had to remind him, he was a PWI top 300 wrestler. Like, he didn't even realize it. I was like, can you say, like this is the Potsy and Tino show and you're a former world champion and PWI? And he goes, what's that? And I was like, you're a top 300 wrestler when you actually decided that you wanted to get back into it a couple of years ago. And he goes, yeah, I know. And I'm like,
do you though?
But do you? But he didn't seem drunk or anything, and I wasn't. So, but it was pretty cool meeting him. And by the way, I think that while we do have 3-time, like all the years that you and I have been doing the show, and then I was doing the Potsy and the Turd. Obviously, I have the 3-time world champion Mick Foley. I have the five-time WCW champion Booker T. All those were on the other show, right? So David Arquette currently is probably our most successful get for our show.
That's not my favorite.
Well, except for Cody Rhodes. Because Cody Rhodes now is WWE.
Not my favorite.
Undisputed heavyweight champion.
Tino. That's still my favorite.
I know it's your favorite because it's his favorite because it's the first time he was in there and involved in it.
No, I don't like how he was just shouting.
But
that was fun. But
you and I, like, first time we went to one of these shows and I was like, Tino, you got to go up and get it. And he goes, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And it's like, you just go up and you ask. And literally, that's what I did with David Arquette. And David Arquette was like, yeah, cool. And David Arquette was charging, serious money for stuff and didn't ask me for anything. So I think it's because, once again, representing the show, they understood that it's a real thing.
I wore that damn shirt last Thursday and I forgot it. I was wearing it all day and I wore it because I had a group workouting to Frankie's. So I forgot because the front is like this.
Yeah, it's just a black shirt on that one.
People would come up like, what's the Potsy and Tino show? I'm like, oh yes, on the back. I forgot it was on the back.
Yeah, one of the shirts, for whatever reason, it printed on the back. And when I tried to tell them, hey, you guys printed this wrong, they were like, no, we didn't. So they wouldn't replace it, but now you've been wearing the shirt.
Yeah, I wore it once. It's cool. I gotta watch it. I'll wear it again. It's cool. This is fun.
I'll wear it out too. I mean, like, you're just basically a billboard at that point, right? So.
Well, you don't have the one on the back, do you?
I do. I have one, and that's why I was like, I don't know why they're on the back. It's like, I went to put it on, and I was like, where's the logo? It's the one that looks like the Money in the Bank. I took it down from the website because I was like, I don't want anybody else ordering a shirt that just shows up on the back.
No, I mean,
like, you at least want like the little corner box on that. Anyways, so Tino, you know what we do. What's up with you? And I'm going to ask you because I'm chomping on food.
finally.
Apparently.
I told Rob, I said, yeah. So you want me to tell you now? Or wait till we get on the show? He said, wait till the show. I'm like, okay. So
I'm learning the same time you guys are.
So, my mom's in the hospital in Fayetteville. So she's getting released Thursday, so she'll be home. We come back to my house Thursday. But last Wednesday, I'm visiting my mom. I'm in Fayetteville. And Nicole's at work. And the phone rings, and it's Nicole. I'm like, oh, shit, what did Matthew do now? Right? So I called.
I love that you already know what she would be calling.
Well, because usually that's what it is. Because usually they call me.
Oh, you said usually, so that means.
No, usually they'll call me.
Oh.
And I'll see Apex Middle School on my phone. I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe they had called her. I'm like, so she's like, where are you? I said, I'm still at mom's. I'm probably going to be here for another hour. And then I'll come home. Why? She goes, I got to go to urgent care. What the fuck?
She had to go there.
She said, I have to. She said, I need you to come. She goes, I'm get ready to drive. I'm like, wait, what happened? So apparently they were outside at recess. And the kids are playing. And they're, how the teachers kind of stand off, kind of watching.
Right, because she's an elementary school teacher.
So they're
just so everybody knows.
They're standing off inside and, just talking like they normally do and just watching the kids. I guess the kid kicked the soccer ball too hard. And it flew. It hit her on the side of the face. It broke her sunglasses. It blacked her eyes. And it jerked her head back. And she called me and she goes, my head hurts real bad. And she goes, and the light, I'm nauseous and the lights hurt. I'm like, that's concussion. I said, you don't drive no fucking where. I said, you get somebody to drive.
She got a concussion.
So they drove her to urgent care.
Right.
And then she called me. So I'm like, tell my mom what's going on. Mom's in physical therapy. So I had to leave, go tell her, hey, I got to go back to So while I'm on my way from Fayetteville to Apex, Nicole calls again. She said, "Yeah, once you get here to urgent care, you got to take me to the emergency room." I'm like, "God damn!"
She got a broken orbital bone.
No, we get to them. Well, because they're urgent care, they can't do the scans and stuff. And so we took her to an emergency
Got to take her to
room.
the hospital, yeah.
And the doctors, they did the light, kind of like knives, made her do all this stuff, squeeze the hand. So they didn't have to do any CAT scans. They figured, you don't have any signs of blame breed. You doesn't look like anything's broken. But because you got a concussion, you're concussed because the lights are hurting her. We had to sit in the room in the dark.
I mean, that part was obvious,
And they were like, "Well, stand up and like close your eyes and kind of touch your nose." And they're like, "He's like, because I guess she was just like," and they're like, "Now stand with your hands and just stand." And so they knew something was off. So they like, "You're concussed." So they hook her up because she was nauseous and and she was hurting, had head. So they hooked her up IV and they gave her stuff for the nausea and the headache, and she was good. And they said, "Go home." And then we had to check back in and go back to the urgent care because it's going to be workman's comp. So urgent care had all that paperwork there because that's where she started.
In the face.
So we go back the next day, like a follow-up to urgent care. And they're like, that's when she was doing all they're like, "Yeah, so you cannot go back to work till the 28th, tomorrow." Well, she has to go back tomorrow to check out. Then they'll tell her when she can go back.
Right.
So that was Thursday.
Right.
So Friday, she didn't go to work Thursday, obviously, because she got hurt Wednesday. Didn't go to work Thursday. Didn't go to work Friday.
They were out of work today.
So she's going tomorrow. So, but in the meantime, doctor said you have to sit in a dark room. You cannot. She reads on her iPad. No screen. She couldn't use her iPad. Couldn't use her cell phone. Couldn't watch TV. She had to sit in a dark room, so she pretty much listened to audiobooks. But as someone with ADHD who cannot sit still and just do nothing,
She can't do it.
She couldn't. So
she can't do it.
So Friday, her best friend was going to come over. So Friday, her best friend was going to come over, and I'm like, "Well, where are you going to sit?" Because you have to pretty much stay in the room. So she goes, "Well, she'll just sit here with me." I'm like, "All right, I'll clean our bathroom because it was nasty. It's in case she has to go to the bathroom." And
our bathroom
was nasty. It was. And I came out, and she had swept the floor, and she was like trying to dust. And then I looked, and she's sitting on the bed like this. I said, "What's wrong?" She made herself,
dizzy and everything else. Yeah.
Sit down and stop. She goes, "Well, I just guess I'm bored." She goes, "I want to," and then she started, "Well, while I'm not doing anything, I want to straighten out my closet." I'm like, "No." I said, "If you need it," I said, "Tell you what, you tell me, I'll pull everything out. We'll go through it, and I'll put everything back. But you tell me when you want to do that." She goes, "Okay."
You walk away.
I go back in the living room, and I made lunch because Matthew was home. What was that? Friday, Matthew wasn't home. Just made her.
Can I stop you for a second?
What?
I just want to let everybody know that when Tino showed up, he was angry.
I wasn't angry. I was just like,
"Oh, no.
Oh, this motherfucker here."
He's talking about the neighbor across the way that has that has their own 2 parking spots, but for some reason has to take up both parking spots to make sure that nobody ever attempts to park in one of his parking spots.
So not only does he back in, but he has to back in like diagonal.
But
when you do that, Rob's parking spots getting in and out is hard because you don't want to hit him. And so I brought my truck today, and he's have to whip it. And I told Rob,
and I'm fully in my spot.
Yeah, and I was able to turn in. I told Rob though, I said, "But when I'm back out tonight, if he gets my way, I'm
hitting him.
I'm bumping that motherfucker because he pissed me off."
So I knew Tino was in a mood.
So I go back.
It's going to be a show.
So I go in the living room, and I was like probably ate lunch or just chilling. I came back in there. I come back in the room, and looks like my fucking closet exploded. All her beds and all her clothes and her hangers on the bed. And then there she is sitting on the bed like this again. I'm like, "You did it again, didn't you?" I said, "Fucking stop." And I never cussed her. I'm like, "Fucking just stop." And she's like, and she put everything,
but she's not used to being stopped.
Yeah. So I put everything back. And then later on, so she chilled that day. And then Saturday, she went into the kitchen. What the fuck is she doing? She's in the pantry, and I heard her, and she got a trash bag. She's like a child. She's trying to walk by me. I'm like, "What you doing?" Oh, I was just gonna the clothes that I'm not gonna wear and give away. Give me the fucking bag. I
can't wait until she ends up in the show tonight.
Like,
even though she's not supposed to have screens on.
She's doing better today, but I'm like, give me the fucking bag. And so she gave me the bag, and I went there like, these are clothes you want? Yes, and I put them on the bag. I said, don't, no more,
no more,
no more. I'm like, cause look, I said because look, you the doctor told you this for a reason, so you can get better. I said, now you're gonna fuck around. And you're gonna go back.
You're gonna find out,
and he's gonna put you on longer, and you're gonna be back here longer. And you're gonna be crying. I'm like, I don't want to hear it because I've told you. And she's the main one talking about my father-in-law. He's such a bad. He never listened to the doctor. I said, don't you ever talk about that again, because you were just like him,
folks. I love this because by the way, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
And I'm not like my wife knows it's all good. I'm not like cursing at her and she knows it's all good. I'm like, look, damn it, stop.
Well, it's not in good and fun. It's to help get her healthy.
Like,
it's to help get her better.
Because Rob knows 9 times out of 10, she does whatever. And I don't say shit. But when it comes to her,
Katie's in the audience.
Hey, Katie. When it comes to her and just trying to take care of make sure I don't play that. I'm like, no, you need to fucking listen. And so that's when I put my foot down, and then she's like, and she didn't argue. She goes, oh, I'm just bored. I'm like, I know you're bored. And she's listened already to, I think she said 3 audiobooks, like big book novels, and she's already listened to. She is so fucking bored.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when I had like really bad migraines and I had to go to like Duke Hospital and they gave me like a spinal tap and everything? It reminds me of that.
Well, she said it reminds her. She goes, when she had COVID, she was locked in a room and nobody. That's what she's just lonely. So at least she didn't have COVID. I'd go back there and just lay with her and talk to her, for a little bit and keep her company. But I mean, it's been rough. And so today I went to go see mom again, and Matthew was home. I said, don't let your mama do nothing.
Your wife sounds stubborn.
She's Italian.
I like her. I hope she feels better.
She is an Italian German
New Yorker.
Yes, stubborn's not the word for it.
She is an amazing human being.
Oh, I love her to death. That's about better half of it.
Yeah,
she keeps me in line.
We both love her to death.
Yeah,
but you know what? Yeah, you gotta take a little sip off the.
She like I said. So
to Nicole.
To Nicole.
And
it's like I said, it's very rare. Like I said, I hardly ever tell her no. But when I put I'm like, no, dude, this is serious. You need to chill. So she doesn't get mad at me. She gets aggravated. She's like a little kid. She'll go off mumbling, but she knows I'm right.
Well, and she would do the same to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the best part is. Is she's like, I would never do that. And then all of a sudden it's like, remember when the time
I told you she threw me under the bus with my mom. She's fucking narc. So that year's before, but it's like before I started on the weight loss and I lost a lot of weight before. It's like I went. The doctor said, don't.
Yeah, because you've been doing good recently.
Yeah. Doctor said no more Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid, oh my God, I love Kool-Aid, right? And so I would never make Kool-Aid. But then she fucked around, and her and Haley they went to the New York. This is when Haley was like in elementary school.
Is this when we would go to like movies and shit, and you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna have popcorn. I'm gonna do this.
She let me have I could have popcorn, but I couldn't have Kool-Aid. So she would leave, and I would go to like Food Line. You get like like 25 cents. Yeah, and I'd be making Kool-Aid. And my wife would be gone for like 2
now
days.
they're $3 packets, but yeah,
she'd be gone for 2, so I would be living my best life. And so one time I knew they were coming back, and I hit it. I hit it like up top in the back part, where I knew she wouldn't see it. Enter 6'1" fucking Haley, who saw it, and her and her kids were, if she wanted, and all because she wanted to. I don't know what you did when you were a kid, but they would dye their hair with the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
She found the
Kool-Aid. My nieces did that. Yeah.
She found the. I don't know how she fucking went back there. She found it, and my wife's like, "Where'd you get those Kool-Aid packets?" And Haley like, they were up in the cabinet. And my wife looked at me. She goes, "Where does Kool-Aid?" I'm like, I think they were. I think they were from before. And she goes, "You're not supposed to drink Kool-Aid." I said, "Whoa. First of all, I'm grown. I do what I want."
I'm a grown-ass man.
She said, "Really?" She said, "Really?"
She called his mama.
The doctor told Tino he's not supposed to be drinking Kool-Aid, and he's still drinking Kool-Aid. I looked at her like,
I'm so
I was like,
folks. He said he told me this story before. He's never told me this.
No,
He's never told me.
He's
He's never told it to this detail. By the way,
I'm looking at her like,
you
damn,
you
snitching
son of a
bitch.
you.
And I'm thinking,
Bitches get stitches.
I'm like, fuck you, no, no. I hear my mom Tino. I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now,
Then you take the
supposed-
then you
are
hit
you
the then you
supposed
hit the speaker button so you
Are
can
you
both
su-
hear.
And the whole time, my mom's yelling at me. I'm like, I said, yes, ma'am.
This is one of the best stories I've ever heard.
So bad. But to this day, she's like, do I need to call your mother? I'm like, fuck you, because I know she will. And so now she'll do something else. I'm calling your daddy. And so I called her dad on her a couple times. But sure did when she's supposed to go to the doctor or whatever, and she didn't want to listen.
I can't believe you two are so petty. Petty. Like I'm gonna start calling you Tom because you petty.
I'm like, Dad, she's not listening.
And you don't come around here no more. That's what I'm saying right now. Like,
so now it's funny.
oh my god,
dude, I love my wife. We're just like, that's what it is, though. We're like a couple of big kids. We don't tattle on each other.
Oh my god, I popped so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that helped she called my mama and told on me.
This sounds like something that Teddy Long would do if you were in the ring.
Yeah,
it's like I'm gonna call your mama. She said,
"Oh, we missed you too, Katie." And what she said that
we absolutely missed Katie. And by the way, Katie, we are on every Monday night at about 8:30.
Yeah, I haven't seen Katie in forever.
I know.
We don't need to get together.
I was hanging out with Chris and his. No. Chris Walsh, who was my assistant manager after Hunter, who was Katie's husband, Katie's wife, if you will.
Okay.
But yeah, that's right. I said it. But but they came out to the horror convention this weekend. Chris and Christy, his fiance, and of course Chris was like, "Oh, let me get a picture," and then he got a message from Hunter,
mm-hmm.
Katie's husband, and I said, "What are you doing?" And Chris wrote back, "Not hanging out with you," and he sent a picture with me and him.
That's so wrong.
So.
Oh, and then I text you.
Yes.
I text you about the reservation because we're like our 20th. Our 20-year anniversary is coming up in June, and so she goes, "I want to eat at Angus Bar." I'm like, "Oh." I said, "It's Rob's mom. Rob's mom works there. She'll probably be getting her section, right?" So I thought you would. I'm like, that's why I was asking, do they do a reservation? And they do. We already made it. So for the 19th, 6:30 or some shit.
So the 19th is my dad's birthday. So my mom might not be working that day. But when you want to sit in the actual dining room, which is on the lower level, yes, you can get a reservation. If you want to go to the turkey lounge, which is upstairs, which is where my mom actually works. Which, by the way, I would tell you, just go up, say, "Hey, is Kathy P working up there?" See if they'll let you, like go sit in her section or whatever. If she's there, if she's not, just wait it out.
Well, I mean, we did it online.
Yeah. No. I mean, when you get there,
okay.
Just be like, "Hey," because the lounge where she works, so she's a cocktail waitress, so people eat and everything else up there.
Okay.
But if you go up there, ask if she's working, ask if you can sit in her section, then you get to sit up there, and she'll take care of you if she's there. And you can eat up there and everything else. And by the way, it's a lot quieter. It's a lot
upstairs.
Yeah. It's definitely a more not sure what the word is for it. Like my brain's not working. So
what'd she say?
Almost every night. Katie says I'm in bed at 8 almost every night. I get up early for work, and Hunter just said LOL.
Well, it's 5 till 9 now, Katie. So thanks for hanging out.
Well, yes, we appreciate we appreciate every viewer of our show, but definitely the ones that want to sit there and chime in, especially Katie and
Let's see if anybody else is thinking. So
right now we're a little bit slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a holiday.
I don't
It's
see
a holiday.
I'm saying I don't see our regulars in there.
They were in there earlier.
Oh.
They were in there earlier. We also had some random people sitting there just chiming in.
Yeah.
But
so that's pretty much it. Like I said, Mom will be home Thursday.
Did you play anywhere this weekend?
This past weekend, no, because I was home with Nicole. That's another reason why she let me get. Because I was home Thursday.
So you've been. So
Thursday,
she's like, get
Friday.
the fuck out the house.
I was there.
That's what she said. She said,
Wednesday,
get the fuck
Thursday,
out the house.
Friday, and I was just there. She wasn't doing shit because I was doing everything. So when I got home today from visiting Mom, I'm like, you mind if I go to Rob? She's like, no, dude, just.
She's like, get the fuck out.
No, because she knows I've been.
You know, she's cleaning right now. She's sitting there sweeping.
She's able because the headaches and all that stuff. So I left. She was playing Candy Crush on the phone. I'm like, fucking around. But she was happy as a clam. I'm like, all right, dude. And she was talking on the phone with her aunt. So
that's funny. I love you guys so much. It's so funny to hear like all this stuff, like because like
it's the same thing with Matthew. Well, she didn't when she was pregnant with Matthew. Like she didn't do shit. She'd be so mad. I'm like, what are you doing? Sit down. What are you doing? Don't look. I got it. I was cooking, cleaning, doing all the chores and everything. She wasn't doing shit. She was so mad at me. I'm like, oh well, when wait till he gets here. When he gets here, you can have it all back. And then when she had him, and she was up and went back to work and stuff. I'm like,
and he's a handful.
I was like, yeah.
And he's even more of a handful now. He's like Homer Simpson with Bart back when they were still going.
He graduates his 8th grade graduation is June 12th. That's the last day of school. Then this come August will be the 9th grade. He'll be in high school.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We're getting so old, man. We're getting so old. So what did I say? Oh geez. It says I will try to make an exception for my bedtime on Mondays then.
Until we start talking about wrestling.
But for now, I'm already turned into a pumpkin. Missed hearing both of your voices.
Thanks,
we love you, Katie. And we really do, and we do miss you.
Yeah.
So this weekend was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did I send you the piece of art that I haven't announced the book for yet? Oh, okay. I'll show him after.
He always does. This one time you didn't.
Yeah, I always like Tino's always like one of the first 3 people that gets to see stuff, and I got a piece of promo art for a book that we're gonna launch in January.
Mm-hmm.
We might launch it in December just because I'm trying to think of if the holidays match up perfectly, it might work really well as a December release for the first issue.
Yeah, you didn't send. I was like, I don't think he didn't. He knows you texted to him.
Yeah. But I did Carolina Fear Fest this weekend with Billy from SideQuest, and Billy.
Where was that at?
It was at the Jim Graham building in Raleigh. They also had Animazement in town, and anybody that bought a ticket to one of the shows could get 20% off a ticket at the other show. So you could actually do both shows if you wanted to, which is really cool. Because normally they don't pair up at all. I
think they make more money doing that.
You would think that they but a lot of those shows think that they're going to make their money anyway, and blah blah blah, whatever. But so Saturday, I had a 1:00 panel, which was horror and humor, and I've done this panel it's been 5 times that they've done Carolina Fear Fest, and I've done this panel 5 times now. I've done it with the people from Ash vs. Evil Dead. I've done it with Deputy Doofy. I've done it with I don't even remember who I did. Oh, I did it with Rob Mello from Happy Death Day. So I mean, like it's always been a pretty solid panel, and this year I'm supposed to do it with a gentleman by the name of Lachlan Monroe. Okay, I'm sitting there and I have no idea who Lachlan Monroe is based on the name.
He wasn't one of the Jays. No,
He was. He was in Freddy versus Jason.
I thought that name sounded familiar.
And he was the cop. Like, and by the way, he's the transitional character for those of you that don't know the Jason story or the Freddy story in that movie. He legitimately is the guy that moved into town, and before you know it, he's trying to figure out why kids are being murdered and why people are not sleeping very well. And like, so here's what's funny about it. I didn't recognize the name. So I walk into the panel and I'm like, I got a full fucking room. Why the fuck do I have a full, like, I never have a full fucking room if I'm just talking about like writing or whatever. Like, I've got a decent amount of people, but it's a full fucking room. And I'm like, there's 40 people in here, and it was a careened off area to be a panel area. It wasn't like your normal panel room or whatever. So I was like, this is full. Like, I was like, does anybody know Lachlan? Does anybody want to go get him, get them? Because I was like, Lachlan could be
Right.
He shows up and he goes, hey man, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, shit, I know you. You were in Peacemaker.
What's the Peacemaker?
He was the cop.
And Peacemaker?
He was the cop.
That's funny.
He's the cop in everything.
That's awesome.
In fact, when he was up for the role in Freddy versus Jason, someone told them that he was in Scary Movie, and they thought he was Deputy Doofy.
David Arquette.
No, Dave Sheridan.
Yes, it's based on one.
Yes, exactly.
I was gonna.
Yes, and obviously we had David Arquette in the launch for tonight. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, that wasn't you. And he's like, no, it wasn't. But I had to tell them that it was Dave Sheridan that was actually the bad guy in that movie, who was Deputy Doofy, and I was just like one of the random characters or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, like,
that's awesome.
But I gotta tell you,
tell that story I read on Facebook. I thought that was freaking awesome.
I'm gonna get to that.
That was fucking awesome.
It made me tear up and everything. Even before that was Sunday. But Saturday, while in this panel, like, Lachlan sits down and he goes, hey, I'm really sorry about being late. I thought I only had a panel tomorrow. And I was like, oh no, it like, no big deal. But then he went into a story where he was talking about how, like, if you show up late or if you show up on time, you're late.
Yeah.
And then if you show up late, you're really late. And I was like, you mean like today? And he goes, would you shut up? And like, every time I'm in these panels with these people, like, they're humanized, like they're not these massive Hollywood actors anymore. They're literally humanized to where, like, we're talking about stuff, and before you know it, like, you're just having a conversation with them. And while he's talking to the entire crowd about, like, he keeps talking about, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. And it's like, dude, it's fine. Like, these people came to listen, and I'm like, you guys came to listen to him, right? And they're like, yeah. And so you go ahead and you keep doing what you're doing. Nobody came here to listen to me. You go ahead and do what you're. And I even said that. And you know me, I want people to be there to listen to me, but I'm actually humbling myself and saying, you go ahead and eat. So we get to the point where at this point, he's actually sat there and he goes, we're talking. I mentioned that he was in Peacemaker, And I said, I don't know about everybody else. I know that this is a horror convention. I know I'm talking about a superhero TV series with the DC universe and everything. But I do think that anytime a bug sits there, climbs in your ear, and ends up eating your brain, it's kind of a horror situation, right? And they're all like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I sit there and I go, so is there anything you can tell us about Peacemaker or whatever, working with James Gunn, all this other stuff? Because we're talking about humor. I didn't even ask. But I said, we're talking about humor, we're talking about horror. Like, is there anything? I mean, he and I don't even know if I should say this on because on YouTube, I don't know if this is gonna get out there. But he goes, I had a conversation with James Gunn not too long ago, and he said we're gonna start filming Peacemaker season 2. And he asked if I had any, and he said, do I have any time available in October? And I'm like, oh, I need to listen to this. Like I'm obviously gonna watch Peacemaker season 2. And he was like, because my character took like a stab to the brain, which killed me. So like with James Gunn asking me, it's like maybe it missed all the vital parts, and maybe I'll be on set filming some stuff when it comes to season 2. And I was like, and he goes, but I'm rambling, so I don't. And I go, guys, are we okay if he rambles, if he goes ahead and gives us a scoop? And everybody's like, yeah, okay, cool. All right, let's open it up to let's open the whole thing up to questions. First guy that walks up.
I hope you ain't telling too much of this on YouTube.
First guy that walks up. This guy's been at a lot of different panels that I've been at this Carolina Fear Fest show over the past 5 years.
Who's the guy that asked the question?
This one, yeah. And there's a new horror movie coming out that looks like Friday the 13th. I don't remember what it's like in something, whatever. It just sounds like they couldn't get the rights to Friday the 13th, right? So the guy takes the microphone and he grabs it first before anybody else can get it. And he's like, are either of you interested in seeing that new horror movie coming out this weekend called blah, 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 blah? And I don't remember what it's called, but
I got curious.
But it's an A24 horror film, which means I know it's going to be good.
A24. Anytime it's A24 or Blumhouse, I'm watching it.
It might be Blumhouse, but it's got a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And please, anybody that knows, let me know. But he asked both of us. So I hand Lachlan the microphone, and he goes, I have two.
The Stranger?
No. Strangers Chapter 1 was terrible, by the way. I saw it. He goes, I have 2 teenage sons, so there's a good possibility I'll go see it. And that's all he said, right? And then he goes, you got anything you want to say about it? And I said, actually, the funny thing about this is the guy that I'm sitting at the table with, Billy, I said to him, I said, have you seen the preview for the movie that looks like Friday the 13th, but isn't Friday the 13th, but it looks like they tried to get the rights to Friday the 13th and couldn't get the rights to Friday. And everybody starts laughing in the crowd. And I'm like, and Billy said to me, he goes, no, I haven't seen the trailer. So I showed him the trailer and he goes, that looks like Friday the 13th.
In a Violent Nature?
Yes, In a Violent Nature. That's what it's called. In a Violent Nature. Anyway, I sit there and I go, have you seen the trailer for that? And Billy's like, no, I haven't seen the trailer. So I show him the trailer for it. He goes, that looks like Friday the 13th. And I'm like, so for those asking, yes, I will probably go see it because I'm a big Friday the 13th fan, and it looks like Friday the 13th. Looks like they couldn't get the rights to Friday the 13th, but still wanted to make a Friday the 13th movie. So because of that, yes, I will go see that. And Lachlan, he was just there. He starts laughing at like what I'm saying. And then I'm like, all right, next question. And we only had one microphone, so I hand the microphone. No, that's really how I felt about it. Okay. So I hand the microphone off to the next young lady, and the next young lady asks a real question, and she goes, Lachlan,
excuse me,
you filmed a series where cheesily, you ended up becoming the horror, or like the killer and everything, and just wanted to know if you could elaborate like what it was like to play like that character, and did you know that they were the killer? Did you know that? And he goes, so I assume you're talking about a series with a specific redheaded main male character, Riverdale.
Oh, was he in Riverdale?
He was, and he was the killer. So sorry, folks.
No, that's Betty's dad. Oh, that's why that name is okay. Betty's dad. They say Riverdale. If not, it's over. That series has been over.
Yeah, it's been over for a while.
So I'm sorry if I ruined it for you.
And in fact,
Excuse me.
Interestingly enough, he ends up sitting there telling us all that he went to the same acting school and everything as Jason Priestley, who worked with Luke Perry on 90210,
whose son is now the scapegoat
of the elite in pro wrestling. We'll get to that later, I'm sure. Fireballs and shit. But he's sitting there talking about how, like, the first 2 seasons, I kept asking the producers, am I the killer? Am I the killer? Am I the killer? And they were like, no, no, no. And then all of a sudden he finds out he is the killer. And he's like, so those first 2 seasons were really kind of weird, where I felt like the 3rd season was really cool. Was I was like a Hannibal Lecter character in jail, sitting there having to give the information. And I never watched Riverdale.
Maybe Cole loved it. That last season, they kind of went.
He said that so seasons 4 and 5 were kind of weird, and he was in very little of it. And then all of a sudden he came back for like the final season, where he like broke out of the jail and whatever. And they said that like he was like, and I really like that season too, but season 3 was like my bread and butter, because I really thought that they added depth to the character and let me play everything out.
He was good.
So I thought that was, and yes, he's a good actor.
Very good.
And he even said like he was on Charmed, and originally when he was on Charmed, he thought he was supposed to be like Shannon Doherty's like love interest, but she would never play the role that way. So he was like, so I kept going back to the writers and being like, hey, I kind of feel like you guys are writing this for me to like be like a love interest, and she's making it seem like I'm the idiot that's just chasing her.
Yep.
And they were like, yeah, you get it. She doesn't. We don't know what's going on with all that.
He was in a lot of movies.
He's been in a ton of shit.
Night at the Roxbury,
movie,
Freddy vs. Jason, White Chicks. I don't remember White. Yes, I do remember.
Well, any Wayans movie he's probably been in, like
Predator.
Yes. Yeah. So interestingly enough, in The Predator, he even talked about that. He's like Rob Black was like, I want you in this film, and he's like, I don't have a lot of time to film it. And he mentioned this. He's like, so at the very beginning of it, I'm the guy that notices like the Predator ship coming down, and I'm like, hey, what's that? And that's like all he's in the movie.
That's awesome.
But Freddy versus Jason, like I said, he's the transition character, everything else. So what Tino wanted me to talk about, because I thought. Because the last thing I'll say about Lachlan is that when we were walking out of it, I asked for a picture, so I got the picture right in front of the backdrop of the so it says Carolina Fear Fest and everything. I mean, it's on my Facebook and whatever. But then I start walking out with him. We're just sitting there bullshitting, and he goes, "Hey, you don't have to walk me back to my table." And I was like, "I'm not. I'm walking back to my table." And he goes, "Oh, all right." And he puts his arm around me, and he goes, "But before you do that, let's go over to the VIP area and let's go grab some snacks." And I'm like, God damn right.
And I want you to talk about the bet you made too.
And I will. Because we made that, because I posted that on Instagram, and then I mentioned it to him, and he actually accepted the bet. But later on, my friends Chris and Christy showed up, and Christy was like, I really want to meet Lachlan Monroe. And I'm like, you even know his name? And like okay, like I was like, you mean this guy? And I showed her the picture, and she goes, you know him? And I'm like, yeah, we're like best friends now.
Shut up.
No, I say that because like I said, he put his arm around me, and we're walking up the like, and when I was like, well, he told me to come by and come talk to him later. Like, so we walked over there, and his line had ended. So we walked up, we started talking to him, and before you know it, like, it's almost like we could have asked him what he's doing for dinner, and we probably could have went out to dinner with him. Like, that's cool. So when I say I became like best friends with him, it's literally like at the convention, he became my con best friend that day. And so Christy sits there and goes, my mom loves you, and she's so mad that I'm here right now. So can I get a picture? And he goes, oh, absolutely. So, and you know, he charges for selfies. He charges for, and she's just like, can I get a picture? And yeah, you know, whatever.
That's awesome.
But then, yes, then he's like, you guys gonna be here tomorrow? Da, da, da. We're like, yeah. So we definitely went by on Sunday. We went up, we went to talk to him both days, talk about hockey, sit there, because he says he's Canadian. I'm like, all right, you said you're Canadian. Who's your hockey team? He's like, dude, I'm from Vancouver. And I'm like, ooh, the Canucks, ooh. And he goes, well, who's your team? I'm like, well, the Carolina Hurricanes, because I'm from, like, I'm here. And he goes, we're in the same boat. And I'm like, all right. So I post the picture. This is what Tino's talking about. Post the picture.
I saw the bed. I don't think I saw the picture.
Post the picture. The picture's me and him just from the panel. And I said, but I'm gonna go ahead and lay it out right now. Let's put the bet on the table. Canadian whiskey. If my team wins, he owes me a bottle of Canadian whiskey.
Crown's not Canadian.
Well, that it is. Yeah, Crown is Canadian. And he goes, oh, you mean like Crown Royal? I'm like, yeah.
It is Crown Royal.
I'm like, yeah, but not that cheap shit Crown Royal. It's got to be the XO or whatever.
Shut up.
Well, because then I sit there and I said, so if Vancouver wins the cup before the Carolina Hurricanes, I will buy you a bottle of American bourbon.
There's no that picture's not on your Facebook.
No, it's on my Instagram.
No, okay.
On my Instagram. So Sunday I sit there and I go, hey, yesterday I went ahead and I posted a picture. I posted the picture that you and I took at the panel, but I put up a friendly wager.
Oh shit.
And he goes, oh really? What was the friend? And I'm like, well, we talked about hockey. We both feel our teams are in the same boat.
That's awesome.
So this might be years down the line. Tino's looking at the picture right now.
Awesome.
You can show everybody if you want. And he put it away. but I sit there and I tell him, I'm like, yeah. There's me and Lachlan right there. And in it I said, if Vancouver wins, I will buy you a bottle of Durham bourbon from Mystic.
Okay.
So, $100 to $150 bottle of bourbon. If Vancouver wins, that's what I give you. If Carolina wins the cup before Vancouver,
so how are you guys going to meet up and make this happen?
Well, he's supposed to follow me on Instagram and everything to make sure that like we can do that. But like I could probably send it to wherever his agency is and be like, oh, fan mail, blah blah blah. Here's your bottle of whiskey or whatever. But I'll sit there and I'll get really loud and annoying if the Carolina Hurricanes win and he doesn't pay up the bottle of Crown Royal. Because I like Crown Royal.
So do I. That's my shit.
It's been my shit a lot longer. Like this.
I'm older.
I mean, we're drinking the XO right now, brother.
No, I'm older.
We're drinking the good stuff.
Shit since high school, college.
I've been drinking it since I was 13 years old.
I'm still older than you, so I'm probably still drinking.
So about the same time. But anyway, he was like, that sounds like a good. That's and he puts his hand out and he's like, I'll shake on that. And so we made the gentleman's bet and everything else. So we've got that going. The other thing, and sorry, folks, we're now almost an hour in.
We really don't have.
We only have 2 pay-per-views we're going to talk about.
I think I took up most of it telling you fucking stories with Nicole.
It was great though. But the Carolina Fear Fest is one of my favorite shows to do every year because of the panels and how nice the people are. Like Chris and Christy walked up.
Chris and Christy. Do I know them?
You've met him. You've met him. He's a musician. She's actually training to become a mortician, which is
where did I meet them? Karaoke or
sometime that
Okay.
like, he used to work for me.
I
So
don't know if I saw him.
but anyway, they were sitting there walking around the convention and just like looking at like tchotchke items and stuff. And all of a sudden, like she goes, "Oh my God, do you know what that is?" To him, like not to me, because I was sitting at my table or I was at a panel or whatever. And he goes, "It's some woman, right?" And she's like, "That's Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street." And she's just like, Heather Langenkamp was like the biggest name at the convention.
That's awesome.
And she's just like buying tchotchkes and stuff from like different vendors. And Christy walks up to her and she goes, "What are you looking at?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm looking at these." She's like, "I was looking at those too. Like, are we twinsies?" And then she took a picture with her because
that's so cool.
But
it's cool that you meet
Tom Arnold
people.
was there too.
You meet these people at these conventions and they're just like you said, they're just so
normal.
They're not like, "Oh, I'm a big star." They're normal.
I
think that's cool. And I think that's one of the biggest things from this past when we went to wrestling, just talking to the Motor City Machine Guns. I say it too fast, Motor City Machine Guns. And even Roderick Strong, because you see them on TV, like they're assholes. And Roddy was just like, "Yeah, okay."
Super awesome.
Like,
yes.
Right? So it's cool. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry. The Heather Langenkamp walked by our table a couple times, just walking back and forth. And every time she did, it was
you
like,
should have showed her a fucking Junior High Horror. That'd have been fucking. I think she got a kick out of that.
I didn't get the opportunity to do it, and I don't have. So, interestingly enough, the one issue I don't have any copies of anymore is the Nightmare on Elm Street issue.
Oh, damn.
So the one on my poster, on everything, I don't have that book anymore. I am out, and I didn't like, but I obviously could have still talked to her about it or whatever. But when she walked by, we were like, "Good morning," and she goes, "Good morning to you." And then she's like, "I hope you're having a great day." And then she just kept walking. It was like
so fucking.
And
awesome.
I'm like, she's so sweet.
That is so fucking awesome.
Because she didn't have her handler with. She just literally was like walking by and just went right to her table. I mean, and here's what's crazy. These are the names that they had at the show. They had Lachlan Monroe. They had David Arquette. They had Tom Arnold.
How did you meet him? How was he?
He walked by. I said hi to him. He's like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and then just kept going. And Billy looks at me and goes, "He's dressed and everything exactly how I'd expect him to be." And he was like, "This."
Nice.
And I'm like, he really is.
Nice.
Like, that's exactly what you expect from it. I think he was wearing a polo, but it was like he's dressed exactly like you would expect. Jenna Jameson was there.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll tell you off air. Like, nothing with me, but what I heard like everybody was like, "I met Janet Jameson. I shook her hand. I'm never washing this hand again." And I'm like, "You might want to wash that hand." You know what? Yeah, peroxide it. Yeah, you might. Yeah, you might want to. Yeah, you might want to sit there and get like
alcohol,
embalming fluid, whatever you can, like every little bit of whatever.
Stick your hand on a hot stove.
So they were all like that, and I was like, like, and apparently she's got some sort of like not a disease, but like a condition. So she had to like ride it. She had to ride in on a wheelchair and stuff. So it was, but I mean, she was beautiful. She was gorgeous. But like,
Ron Jeremy got it one too many times.
But then the weirdest thing of the entire weekend. So House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay.
Bill Moseley was supposed to be there, and people paid a lot of money to see Bill Moseley.
Uh-oh.
And Bill Moseley made it into Raleigh. But apparently he was walking back to his hotel room.
Oh, no.
And he got hit by a drunk rider on an e-bike. Broke his hip and couldn't be at the show. Now, I'm going third-party statement on that. I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but a lot of people were upset.
Yeah, especially if you paid money to see him.
I mean, apparently he actually offered to still sign anything for people, but I mean, he was in a hospital, and so I don't know exactly what the situation was. Like I said, I can only go by third party analysis on that. But pretty disappointing there. Now Sunday, this is what you were stating is on my Facebook page. About 10 minutes before my writing panel and writing of horror panel, I walked into the room and I was just waiting for the other panel to finish up. And the one before me was like a demonology panel with an actual demonologist sitting there explaining like what to expect and everything else and all this other stuff. Someone came in and walked up to me, and while they're all still talking about their other thing, he comes up and he's like, "Hey, last year you did this writing for horror panel." And I was like, yeah, I try to do it every year. I think it's a great panel. I think it's a great way to meet people. I think it's a great way to understand like the processes of what's going on. And he goes, well, I did that. I came in last year and I can't come in this year. But I just wanted to let you know that last year, what you said resonated really well with me, and it made me totally take a left turn in my life. And now I'm working and making movies, and I'm actually here with I'm here with one of the film crews and all this other stuff. And he's like, but you made me just decide I'm going to try to live my dreams. And I was like, the fuck did I say? Like what did I ruin your life?
You can be broke and homeless. I'm sorry. You can live in a shopping cart. I'm sorry.
But he goes, I just wanted to thank you. And he shakes my hand and he said, I would love to be in here to listen to what you have to say this year, but unfortunately I gotta be out there like at my table trying to sell stuff. And I'm like, you go do you, but don't thank me. I want to thank you, because when I hear that, it means what I said resonated. It means that people got something from what I said. And because I say a lot of shit, Tino.
You do talk a lot. I love you, man. I ain't talk shit, dude.
No, it's fine. But
in truth, yeah, you do. But I just think it's cool that I tell you all the time.
It means the world.
But I tell you all the time, dude, you have, I don't want to say low self-esteem, low self-confidence, but I'm telling you, I'm like, dude, this shit's gonna hit. And you're like, I don't know. I'm like, no, dude, this shit's good. It's gonna hit. And I still have no doubt something's gonna hit. Something is gonna hit one day, and you're gonna be fucking rich out of your mind, and I'll be bumming money off you forever. But but something's gonna hit for you, dude. And you don't believe it.
No, it's not that I don't believe it. It's that I'm pragmatic.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, folks. For those of you out there listening, I know it's a holiday weekend, and most of you are probably going, I got to get to bed so that I can actually back to work.
Right.
Like I am. You are, yeah. So, but I feel like it's pragmatism, and it's not because I don't think it's good, because I've told you,
Yeah,
Zor is the best thing I've written, and maybe what I'm going to show you later is even better.
I still think junior high horror, you got some of that. I think with the copyrights, it might run into problems there. But,
which is why I don't push it.
Zor, fucking God. Zor.
And prime example, Michael, the artist and co-creator of it, was at GalaxyCon Oklahoma City this weekend when I was at Fear Fest. And he said that a person came up to me and said they hadn't read it yet, but their wife read it and they loved Zor. And they were like, when's the next one? When can I get more? Like, is there going to be more than just the third issue? You know, like all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, it's one more issue, comes out next month, blah, blah, blah. But he messaged me and he's like, it felt really cool. And I was like, dude, like, while I'm sitting there, you know, I went into that writing panel and the first thing I said to people was like, I don't write for you. I write for me. Like, what I wrote makes me happy. And I'm just hoping that one of you sits there and also gets that same feeling. Like, if it makes me laugh, I send it to you. And there's specifically, there was that time in junior high horrors, I sat there and said, we're going to do the poop joke.
The monkey thing.
The monkey throwing poop. And you were like, it's not funny. Then I sent it to Nicole. Nicole sits there and goes, Rob, it's not funny. Then we changed the joke, and I sent it back to you, and you're both like, okay, now it's funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
And then it's funny.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I've ever really been like, I thought it was funny. I thought it was good. Yeah. And because two people that I really trust the opinions of sat there and said, no.
Don't do that.
No. I was like, all right, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
And I didn't.
Because 9 times out of 10, it's just fucking hilarious. That one, I'm like, yeah.
Well, and it was a shit joke, so it really was hilarious when it hit. It's just, but yes, it and agreed. It was one of those things where I was like, I think it's funny. My sense of humor sometimes is,
yes,
like it fires off, you know, like that really bad
firework.
Yes, like that really bad firework where everything else is bah, bah, and this one goes.
Yep.
And you were like, that's one of those.
That's one of those. We'll bring that one back in.
So I said, well, here's my other option, and I said it, and Nicole, even when she read it, was like, no. And then when I was on the phone with you, you put me on speakerphone. I said the joke, and she goes, oh, now I get it. Now it's funny. And I was like, all right, cool. We can put that in there. And that's the only time that I've ever done that. But, you know, like with Zor number 3. Michael, and this was one of the things that came up during the panel. Obviously, there was the demonologist was actually on the panel talking about he talked forever. I didn't get to say very much on the panel.
Welcome to my world.
I know, right? I know, right? What's the Potsy? And Tino.
Just this Milli Vanilli.
Anyways, so I can't believe that's popping us as much as it is.
How many buttons on this tired?
I know, man. I'm tired too. But we opened the panel up and we said, hey, does anybody have any questions?
Oh shit, the guy grabbed the microphone.
Different guy. But that one, by the way, in the Lachlan Monroe one, grabbed the microphone 3 times. And each time, and Lachlan's like, I wasn't in that movie.
I wish I'd been there.
Oh God, dude, no, you don't. No, you don't.
I've been just in tears probably.
Well, when he grabbed the microphone the last time, I was like, "Is this going to be pertinent to like either of our careers?
Oh damn!
Like, does it have to do with anything that either of us did?" And he's like, "I think so." And I'm like, "Oh, that's better than it was."
All
right, go ahead. And he just asked another question. It was like
that. Yeah.
But in this one, I was like, okay, we got a little bit of time for some questions. Who wants to ask a question? There's this old gentleman brought in a walker and everything. Give him the microphone. And he goes, "It's not really a question per se. It's more of a."
Oh shit!
About 10 minutes into it, and I wish I was. Folks, I wish I was kidding. 10 minutes into it, and by the way, as a professional public speaker and facilitator, this is my job, right? As a professional who does this for a living, 3 times I tried to bring it back in and take over and be like, all right, next.
Nope.
And I wasn't able to.
Nope.
And it blew my mind. And his whole story was about how and they've been in multiple panels that I've been in. They actually cheered when I said I'm the writer of Junior High R's. They're like, yeah, like, a really good book. You should read it. And I was like, thank you. And what it is, it's like a father and son team that work on comics together.
Okay.
Now, they haven't had anything published professionally between, like, through a company like Kingspot or anything, but they work on comics together. And the dad went on this story about how his process is and how he goes about, like, sometimes you don't want to, you want to write way too much in the bubbles versus what should actually be in the bubble.
Okay.
And he's right. Like, what he was saying was right, but it
took forever.
It took 10 minutes to get there. And I finally took control of the moment, and I said, well, what you're explaining by doing the plot, drawing it out, and then scripting it from that, it's called the Marvel method. Stan Lee did that, where he would give a 2-page plot to the artist. The artist would draw 22 pages of comic, and then Stan Lee would dialogue the comic based on what they drew, which technically means that those artists were more of the writer of the book than Stan Lee was.
Yeah, we had that discussion a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely, we definitely did. And the gentleman was like, I had no idea. And it's like, yeah.
Oh.
And then I sat there and I was like, yes. So with my book Zor, the artist took my, like, I said I called it a modified Marvel method, where I plotted out each page. Mm-hmm. So I said, this should happen on this page, this should happen on this page, this, and gave it to him. And because he is an amazing artist, I just let him draw everything and go. And then he sent me over the art, like, midway through the process, so that I could sit there and write the dialogue. And as the dialogue came in, he was able to create the word balloons to fit the entire book. And I said, and that is why I think that's the best thing I've written, because we really were in unison with, like, how, like, he would draw something, I would sit there and go, oh man, that's exactly what I was thinking when I came up with that. Or if it wasn't, it's even better than what I was thinking when I came up with it, so I can create even more words. And what, like, the funniest part about the 3rd issue of Zor was that I sat there and I was like, oh man, you really went all out and you created like 8 more pages of artwork. And he goes, Rob, you plotted it to be like 29 pages. And I'm like, oh, I did. But really, that moment where the person was sitting there saying all those kind things about what I had said to try to motivate them last year, and even this year, like there was a young lady in the audience who was asking questions about like when you go about creating your characters, what do you do for them? Like how do you come up with? And I was like, ever since someone tried to steal part of the ownership of junior high horrors, right? Ever since somebody did that, I always try to find the actors that I think should play the roles, and that's what I doodle. Like I take like an image of that person, like if it's Jeff Goldblum, I sit there and I draw Jeff Goldblum, right? And I'm like, this guy should play this character. And and all of a sudden the director of movies that's sitting next to me during the panel sits there and goes, I do the exact same thing. Like I don't doodle them, but I go, this is who I have in mind for this. And that's how I try to write it. I try to write it based on their mannerisms, how they talk, how they speak, how they do the and he goes, so I'm really amazed that like someone in a completely different genre sits there and does the same thing. By the way, he also said that like he's always looking for new ideas to make in a movie, so he wants to meet more writers because he doesn't consider himself a writer. And I'm like, we need to talk after this. And I said that loud enough into the microphone and everybody starts laughing, you know. But it really is that way, you know. And then after both the other gentlemen spoke about it, I sat there and said, I also want to point out that if you notice, all of us are talking about collaborations with other creators. Like a comic book isn't just the writer unless it's a writer drawing and doing everything themselves. So in a lot of cases, what's really cool is I already have another partner. Yeah. So I sit there and I go, well, I was thinking it'd be David Schwimmer in this role. And it might also have them sit there and go, oh, I was thinking Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah. And then I sit there and go, oh shit, you know, and then before you know it, like it's changing my entire method of what I was thinking, like their speech patterns would be or whatever. Right. And the director was talking about how like he was doing a movie about a person who was a stand-up comedian that becomes a mortician. And it's like a faith-based thing, but like, go with me on this. He originally said, I wanted Rob Schneider to play the role. And it makes sense that Rob Schneider, as a stand-up comedian, would then possibly become a mortician and maybe even be funny. But then he said Kevin Sorbo actually came to him and said, I want to play that role. And he said, where I wrote it to be this funny role and everything else, Kevin Sorbo played it as very plain, like just, this is how I act and I'm Hercules and you know, like whatever. And he goes, and when Kevin Sorbo did that, like I had to change the casting of the other characters because I needed someone to be that comic relief character because he was supposed to be, and he played it just plain Jane and straight. And I needed to have someone else, and I did find the guy that actually did it, and it just made them work really well together. And it was really cool hearing him talk about all this stuff. So, anyways,
what's the time?
1:15. We're gonna jump into wrestling. Sorry. It was a cool
quarter to 10.
It's a cool weekend, but yes, we're gonna jump into other stuff. WWE or AEW PLE first.
Yeah, probably WWE. Like I said, I wanted it to be an hour and a half, but I'm not sure we've both been like blah 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 blah. So
correct. I appreciate you saying that because normally you just blame me.
No. I admit telling the whole stories, but the countdown show was pretty much just the women tag team titles match, which is what I thought it was going to be. You know, I knew that they weren't going to take those belts off of Bianca and Jade quite yet, and they also continued to work on Bianca's knees. So it made, in my opinion, Jade look stronger. So I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her look stronger. So when they finally break up, she has, I guess, a character. I guess, you know, has that she's strong.
I felt that with this, yes, I agree, but I think it's trying to add an element more to Bianca as well, because oftentimes, like when Bianca was women's world champion for a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when she lost the belt and she got it back, she was champion for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't have anything against her. So when they finally they've got to make her humanized, and they've got to make her somebody that can be beaten, and yet still overcomes that adversity.
And I still think this is going to be a heel turn for her at some point when she does finally face off against Jade. I think because it kind of showed, even like when Bianca hit the move at the end, and Jade, I guess Bianca realized she was legal because Jade was getting ready to kip up and do the pin, and Bianca kind of pushed her away, and then she did the pin.
So I think you're right. I think what they're going to do though with this, and this is something that the Triple H era, I think, really does well, is they're going to listen. They're going to hear the crowd, and they're going to determine who turns.
But I also think, too, and I think, and again, I still planting the seeds, like when I guess it must have been the night before SmackDown, or they on SmackDown?
Yeah, SmackDown, yeah.
Where Bianca was kind of backstage after a match, and she was kind of hurt.
And then Jade was like, I'll do that.
But did you notice, though, at first Bianca was by herself when the Way came up, the Way, Indy and Mrs. Gargano.
The Way, yeah.
Came up, and they were talking to her, and she was like this, and all of a sudden, Jade kind of, we got a problem here, and the look on Bianca's face at first, like, bitch, hold up. Then she kind of like, okay.
Well, that might have also been one of those, you don't see who it is, so as part of the audience, like that visual from her is to be the same visual that the audience is giving.
I guess, but she even when she realized who it was, she was still kind of like side-eyeing her. I don't know.
There's definitely a lot of ego between the two.
So I don't know. I'm waiting to see, but I think that's what.
But the real question is going to be which one turns, and I think it'll be easier to turn Jade.
Okay.
At the same time, I think you're right in your statement that you want them to turn Bianca because they want Jade to be the baby face. I just think that it's easier to turn Jade because I think that the crowd is more willing to dump on her instantly. Okay. Because she's an AEW
That's true.
person, which is also why I think WWE really wants her to succeed.
Yeah.
So,
first main match of the main show, which I'm surprised, was Becky and Liv. And Becky came out with her putting on the Ritz tuxedo.
If you know where you don't go.
As she was coming down. That's all I'm thinking. Dude, they got the great Kali. Put it on Ritz.
So it's funny you say that because the entire weekend at the Fear Fest, Billy and I kept just going, duper duper. We're talking about Young Frankenstein, folks. We are not trying to say anything.
But that's all I kept thinking was
duper.
All she needed was the great Kali and a tux next to her. Put on Ritz.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh God, that's all I kept thinking.
Unfortunately, the women outfits in Saudi Arabia,
they have to wear.
Oh my God, like Liv Morgan's was the Britney Spears toxic outfit.
Yeah.
So
so what you think of this match?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get to see all of the match. I only got to see 2 of the matches in full. I got to see I got to see the Cody match, and I got to see the match before it, the Randy versus Gunther match. And the reason why was because I was in a panel at the time that some of that stuff was going on.
This match was actually, you would think that they would book, I won't say book Becky Strong, but she would beat Liv's ass. But it was pretty much a pretty good back and forth. And Liv, had the upper hand, and Becky got the upper hand. And then fucking Dom comes out, right? So Liv is kind of on the side, like she's hurt. She's distracting the ref. And I don't understand. And Dom pushes a chair in, kind of to Becky, like, and then Becky's like, I want the fucking chair, right? And so the ref turns, I know she sees Dom, and she goes to get Dom, and fucking, and it was
That's just your card, by the way.
It was a miss. Becky kind of, you know, when you like, you mistime it, so Becky knew it was coming, because Becky's like bent over, like waiting for Liv to come and DDT her on the chair, but she was like this, like kind of bent over, like she knew it was coming. She got DDT'd on the chair. The ref, you know, and she pushed the chair. The ref turned around to see what was going on, and as she was kicking the chair out, Liv hit the Oblivion, and she won. So, and then Dom's all like he didnn't mean to do it.
Did he not mean to do it?
No.
I'm
waiting until tonight, because Becky's pissed out that she wants a rematch. Because if you remember, when Becky lost at WrestleMania, she was supposed to take a break.
Yes.
And then Rhea got hurt.
Right.
And
100%.
And so I think Becky pretty much held that belt till now to give it to Liv.
Correct.
So Liv can have it, I guess, when Rhea comes back or whatever. But
that's how I'd write it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, there's been these rumors that Liv's going to come in to the Judgment Day.
Well, there's been talk where Liv had a purple
bandana
hanging out of
it was Dom's bandana, is what the people were saying.
Then there was rumors that they both came out of the same locker room and I mean, like, truly we're all sitting there going,
but I think
I think we all know.
I think everybody was cheering Rhea well before.
Sure.
So I think if they want to keep Liv heel, they have because people are still cheering Liv when she comes out. Dom has so much fucking heat. If they put her with him, I think that's what's gonna do it.
And that's what I've been saying. You've been saying it too.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what they're working on doing. And I think Damien's on his way out of because I don't think he's gonna stand up, because he even did a X like, what the hell was that kind of thing with the Dom and Liv. So I think if Liv does come into Judgment Day, because too many people are coming, he's mad about Carlito. He's going to be pissed if Liv comes, and I think that's going to split the Judgment Day.
The unfortunate thing about super groups like this, is that there's two ways to rebuild them, right? There's the NWO, which means overflowing it with really bad talent, and then it just dissipates and sucks. Or you have how DX did it, which I kind of think is what they're doing with the Bloodline.
I'm not digging this new Bloodline.
Hold on. But it's when Shawn Michaels went down with injury,
Triple H took over.
Triple H not only took over, but he immediately said, "Hey,
he's bringing back,
Well, he said, "Hey, we're bringing in the New Age Outlaws, and sometimes you don't look from the outside, you look from the inside, and you bring in family," and that's when he brought X-Pac back in, right? So that one worked because yes, they brought in like the Tama Tonga and Tama Loa, but they also brought in somebody else that we do like. And not even that we like, but that we knew, and that we knew was part of the actual like what DX was, right?
What do you mean that we like?
That's what I said. We didn't necessarily like them. X-Pac.
No, you talk about the Bloodline. Who they?
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They haven't yet.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But the only thing I don't like about the Bloodline so far is that Solo Sikoa stole my car keys because he was wearing that red jacket. I mean, I thought he was the ballet driver.
So what do you think? That's all to say. What about
with the Judgment Day thing? I almost think that it's done. I see Dom and Liv going on their way, right? I see JD and Finn going on their way. Mm-hmm. I see Damien going on his way. Like, what I like right now is that last week Finn sat there and said, "Hey, big man, I really wish it was you and me going out there and doing this. But I get that you're the champ now, so you got to do your thing." I get that. And who wants to sit there and work with a bobblehead?
Definitely not him.
You know, so like, you know, like. All right, next match.
The Intercontinental, Zayn, Bronson Reed, and Chad Gable. The moment of the match for me was a couple of moments. I think one of the big ones is where
the big ones
where they all had. So I think Sammy had Chad for back suplex, and Bronson was behind Sammy. Chad got around behind all of them, and he fucking suplexed them both. I was like, that motherfucker's strong as shit.
So that most likely was Bronson Reed sitting there taking Sammy and
probably, but it looked cool though.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? Chad Gable needs his moment, man. Like I've been saying, he needs to win King of the Ring or he needs to win Money in the Bank. And I don't think he's going to win Money in the Bank. I think Money in the Bank is probably going to be Finn Balor or somebody like that at this point.
Otis clotheslined the shit out of him. Trying to hit Sammy, he clotheslined the shit out of him.
Which still has everybody wondering
if he did it on purpose.
L.A. No, I'm sorry. Has everybody wondering.
So Sammy kept his bill.
He did. He did, which was a little surprising.
The next match. Nia and Lyra. Good match until Nia tried to kill Lyra at the end of that match. And I showed you the clip.
You did.
And I'm like, so if I'm sure you guys seen it, but
if you haven't, you might need like,
you might check it out. Nia was on the second, but like she's gonna jump off. Lyra somehow got underneath her, so Lyra was gonna power bomb her from the rope. I don't know if she slipped, but fucking Nia just did that fucking annihilator where the bonsai drop. I thought she killed Lyra. I thought she broke every. It did not look safe. She landed. You saw it. She landed all her weight on Lyra's chest.
I wonder if she has figured out a way to press the legs out or something to make it look as devastating. And I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just trying to in my mind try to come up with a theory as to how she does this move and it doesn't break someone's chest, doesn't collapse the lung, doesn't like what you showed me looked
nasty.
Fucking devastating. Not nasty, fucking devastating.
And if you guys put it on YouTube, Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria, and you'll see it.
At the same time, I think that Lyra Valkyria with her big wings and everything fits in with the Judgment Day. She does.
She don't fit in the shit. She'll fit into a fucking
coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gunther and Orton. You said you saw this one, right?
I did.
That match was hard-hitted. It was exactly what you thought it was going to be.
I looked at this match and I said, why did Randy Orton say okay to this?
Got to fuck this shit up.
Dude.
That fucking mule kick he does, that drop kick, whatever he calls, that's a fucking mule kick. That's like getting kicked by fucking Clydesdale.
But I mean, like the 12 chops, like there was that one chop where afterwards you literally saw the finger marks in Randy's chest, and I was like, fucking roast beef growing, man. Like, what the fuck is it? Like, I just like I know why they said, Randy, can you work with Gunther? Because you gotta legitimize Gunther, and you gotta legitimize him as a world title caliber athlete.
Here's my question: you saw the end of that match too?
No, Jesus.
Randy's arm was up. So was that?
His arm was up? Oh my God, dude! It was so blatantly. The only explanation in this situation, because by the way, Triple H actually sat there and said, I saw what you guys saw. His shoulder was obviously up, and but the referee's decision is final, which is fine, but that allows Randy to look strong.
Yeah, but it also doesn't hurt Gunther. You know what I'm saying? Because he even said Gunther might not want as asterisk, because it's controversial.
No, I think what it does is it gives them a return bout at the next pay-per-view.
For what though? I mean, Gunther's king of the ring.
He is, but Gunther is the kind of guy that sits there and goes, I will not stand for the fact that you guys don't think that I could beat Randy Orton, so I'm going to beat Randy Orton.
Does he beat Randy in a rematch? Or do you think Randy gets his win back?
I don't think it matters. And it could be a Ludwig Kaiser causes the disqualification thing.
Some people were noticing that because Nia put her crown on, they not people Gunther never put his crown on, so they're looking at it as a means to an end because whoever wins King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring gets a title match. So maybe he's like, I got to put this on because I know what it's just my tool to get to the.
I think we've already talked about this. Ludwig Kaiser is going to be carrying that crown.
But why wouldn't he put it on? Usually, if you win, the winners put that crown on their head.
They're kind of cheesy looking, man.
Cody and Logan.
I want to talk about one sequence in the match that going forward is going to be a staple of how WWE provides people with the knowledge that they are the best wrestling in the world. When Logan Paul went to the top rope and Cody Rhodes was on the table outside the ring, and that drone shot went 360 around him, and then was able to capture the entire frog splash.
I missed that. I think I was tired. I think I might have fallen asleep. I could go back and
Dude,
watch that.
It looked like it was right out of the video game.
Really?
When you're looking at the replay of something that you did.
I got to go back and watch that match.
It was, and it's one of those things where you're sitting there going, there's no way that Cody would have been laid out that long, waiting that long. But it's professional wrestling. It's the spectacle. It's the showmanship. It's all of that. And it was amazing. The crowd ate that matchup. The crowd loved what was going on. And I don't even Friday night when they had their last talk at each other. I'm not even gonna say talk to each other, but talk at each other. Yeah. Cody made mention that he said a lot of people don't realize that your dad was like a Wayfair worker in wrestling. He's a former AWA wrestler, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Who?
I don't remember what his name was, but literally, Logan and Jake Paul's dad was a professional wrestler.
Wow.
So, and I've said it on the show multiple times at this point, but yes, it kind of goes under the radar. The point is that someone asked me tonight, what do you think about Logan Paul in professional wrestling? And I'm like, I hate the fact that he's as good as he is. Because I want to hate him, but he's that fucking good. He really is. He hit a crossroads on Cody Rhodes, and I was like, oh. And then now on Instagram, TikTok, everything else, they're like, it's a new era in the WWE because a banned move was used during that match. The Vertebreaker. When Cody had him up like this.
Didn't he stop him? He didn't.
No, he dropped him.
He did hit. I thought he
hit
blocked it.
No, he hit that one.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a banned move, but banned moves get used all the time when approved in very specific situations. At the same time, though, it was a professional wrestling match.
Yes.
It was a spectacle. It was amazing. And Logan Paul is a sports entertainer.
Yeah, he is.
There's I don't know any other way to say it. So that's how I feel about that. You pulling up AEW?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
So,
and anything else you want to say about the PLE?
I give it a solid B.
I would say B plus. Yeah. I felt like everybody brought their A game. The only thing I hate is that when you go to Saudi Arabia, the women have to sit there and wear like 19 layers of clothing, and Randy Orton sitting there wearing his fucking trunks.
I guess it's different for men, yeah.
Like, if I were the WWE, I would make everybody wear those outfits. That way, you were sitting there saying, in solidarity, we're doing it this way.
Yeah. All right, so we kicked off the AEW pay-per-view.
19-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah, did you watch it?
No, I did not. I did not.
That's not screwed up. Read the results.
I was gonna go and watch, like I was gonna watch it, and then I was like, I'm too tired. I'm too tired.
So you have Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, Diana, Virtuoso won.
Yeah. They really have buried Thunder Rosa since she came back from injury.
Second match was the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass against Brian Cage and Gates of Agony, whatever they're called. Now they're calling themselves the Cages of Agony.
I'm assuming Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed one. Yeah, okay.
All right. Ooh. First match of the night was Roddy Strong and Will Ospreay.
I mean, the anticipated ending happened. I'm glad we got to see Roddy while he still had that belt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he worked his ass off to get that belt, and then I feel like he had to drop it because they were like, "Hey, we just paid Will Ospreay all this money."
Yeah. The Bang Bang Gang versus.
Well, hold on. After the Roddy Strong match, didn't something else happen?
I don't know.
Didn't Adam Cole come out?
I didn't say that one yet. No. I'm trying to see when he came out. They didn't.
It might not be on that.
Hold on.
No, it was early.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think after Roddy Strong's match, Adam Cole came out talking about how he's still not back from injury, blah, 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 but he was being forced to be there, this, that, the other, and then
No, he talked about the devil. He said the devil still, he had the devil mask.
He had the devil mask.
And all of a sudden the lights went out, and then they showed on the big screen. They did it. It's like a symphony instrumental version. They showed somebody walking down a hallway, and they walked into a room, and they looked up, and there was the picture of MJF, and then on the mantle, he took the little thing up. They put the ring on. It was from his point of view, and then there was a mannequin dressed in one of his suits and had the scarf, and then he walked around in front of it, and he saw a hand go up and pull off the scarf. Then the lights went on. Then the music started, and then MJF came out in a fucking denim jacket with no shirt and jeans. I'm like,
not even denim jacket. It was a Triple H leather jacket with denim sleeves.
And he came out, and then he got in the ring, and he was like, Adam Cole was all backing up like, hey, and went like that to give him a hug, and then MJF looked around the crowd, he goes, and gave him a hug and came out and kicked him square in the nuts and in the mouth
as hard as he could
and beat his ass. But I didn't hear the promo. Did you hear the promo?
I did, and I'll put it this way.
Oh, they did.
He called himself the Wolf of AEW because he said, "I'm not going anywhere," and it was like a Wolf of Wall Street thing. He said he did the whole you're not on the level of the devil and all that stuff, but the main statement was that he's locked into an AEW contract.
So no more War of 24 bullshit.
It would have been nice if he would have even mentioned that during the promo, but no, he said and now all of a sudden AEWshop.com has the Wolf of AEW shirt.
And he also showed, I guess, on his calf, he's got a new tattoo.
He does, and it says "Bet on yourself," and it's
the AEW,
and then it had an AEW gambling chip. So yeah.
So I think he's sticking around.
I would think so.
Yep. So and then they went to the. You're right, because they did mention it here, but they didn't go Adam Cole.
They didn't.
But they didn't a whole lot about it. Oh, this said the former AEW champion's music hit. And
What's up, Terrence?
He said he came out in a leather jacket and denim vest similar to Triple H's look when he returned to MSG in 2002. You call. But so then it went to the Death Triangle and the Bang Bang Gang, but the Bang Bang Gang won. Wow.
Yes, they did. And
wasn't expecting that one.
Well, what I wasn't expecting was that the Death Triangle was wearing team-based gear, because they almost always wear 3 separate outfits, and yet they wore team-based gear and then did not win the match. But
Bleacher Report said MJF went a bit heavy on the tanning. He also elbowed the devil mask like he was Ric Flair giving an elbow.
He did, and I laughed my ass off when I saw it in the video.
I gotta watch that.
But the Death Triangle thing, I'm going to say this: did we anticipate Death Triangle actually winning a match?
I kind of hope, because they were back together. I was kind of hoping they would.
I mean, here's the problem with this: is that as good as they are, and as much as the commentary team would sit there and like to tell us that they could all be main eventers somewhere, they're in the second match of the night.
Pat could be if they used him right. Pat could be.
Well, here's the problem with 3/4 of the AEW roster, man.
They all could be if they used him right.
They all could be if they were in TNA. They all could be if they were in New Japan. They all could be if they were in Ring of Honor. They all could be if they were anywhere other than AEW, where they're going to be second match guys.
All right.
Sorry.
Tony Storm and Serena D. We knew where that was going.
Unfortunately.
All right.
And there was no chance that Serena D was going to win.
Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta.
Exactly what you expected to happen.
Cassidy.
Yep.
I kind of thought that Trent would pull something dirty and kind of to prolong this. I figured Cassidy would win eventually, but I thought maybe they would drag this out. You know what I mean? Trent wins this one. Cassidy comes back.
Only way Trent was winning this was if they were bringing out that minivan.
All right. Jericho versus Hook.
Right there,
shut up. Sorry, I hit.
Tony Schiavone.
I accidentally hit play on that. The FTW Championship.
Worthless match.
Jericho what?
Yep. Jericho won. Did you not know?
I didn't know any of these.
Mr. Helios and Terrence are both in the like. He's got two. He's two different people now.
And Moxley and Takeshita. I don't understand why this was a, what do they call it?
New Japan. Oh, eliminator match.
Why not just fucking put his belt on the line?
Apparently
because of the open doors coming.
Well, apparently it had something to do with New Japan saying that they didn't want the title on the line for the match.
Well, Moxley won anyway.
Correct. And to your point, why is Takeshita getting that match in the first place?
They tried to build it up on Collision with Callis, and you did this and da 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 da.
Yeah, but
it was stupid.
Okay, my point.
I get your point.
Well,
I agree with you. Why is he getting a title match?
Yes, he's lost like 4 matches in a row in major spots, and yet you give him a eliminator title match. Like, oh, New Japan's title isn't worth. By the way, here's my problem with something earlier than that. Tony Storm women's world title match going on before Willow Nightingale's TBS title match.
You know why that was. Because they thought they were going to get more eyes with Sasha Banks. I refuse to call her Monet, whatever the fuck her name is.
Money.
Yeah. Next match, though. We'll get to that match. Copeland and Malachi. Now, was it Saturday or Wednesday?
You think you know me?
No, they did the bloodbath thing. Was that Wednesday they did that? So I'm like, oh fuck, here we go with the brood shit, right? Because they tried the brood shit.
They did
when
multiple
he came
times.
up out of the
multiple times. Now.
Okay.
Can I tell you that when I saw the bloodbath thing, it initially looks like the way that it comes down. There isn't enough video showing it coming down, so it literally looks like it's just coming out of Malachi's ass. And it looks like he's just got really bad diarrhea.
And it looks like Slurpee. It doesn't even like blood. It's like chunks in it. Like, what the fuck is that? Slurpee. Did somebody throw up from up there? What the fuck is that?
God, don't kill me.
It had chunks in it.
Oh, chunky.
Look at it. It's chunky.
It is, but watch it. Go ahead, turn the sound off first. Turn the sound off.
But I think that's the one they did it on. I did the sound off. Shut up. It was on Kyle O'Reilly, the bringing blood on Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, never mind that. No.
But so a couple things in this match.
Oh, a couple things.
The first thing is a 50-year-old Adam Copeland climbing to the top of the fucking cage.
Yep, he did that.
To try to do the Macho Man elbow, and I don't know if he lost his balance in midair, but landed pretty much on his feet and knees as he hit that table. So I'm like, you just blew out your fucking knees. That was one. My second thing, what are you doing?
Just keep going. I'm listening.
My second thing was a 400-pound Gangrel. That motherfucker. Did you see him when he came up? That motherfucker's
old.
And I mean, I'm big too, but that motherfucker put on weight.
So I said something this weekend that I think is legitimate and fair. Because I'm fat, I can make fun of fat people.
Okay.
Is that fair?
That's fair. This motherfucker, he was still trying to wear the fucking Brood shirt, and the buttons were like, here's the shirt, look. Help.
So it looked like, and you probably didn't see what I'm about to explain, but when I watched, you know how every year ESPN does ESPN the Ocho for one day?
Yeah.
Well, they did pillow fighting.
Oh, God. No.
But the announcer for pillow fighting was wearing a white tuxedo with a black vest under it. And he's a big dude.
Right.
But the white tuxedo looked like it was one size too small.
Yeah.
So it was like, and it was like, it was two breaths away from doing. You know what I mean?
That's not what I was laughing at. So remember I was talking about the blood looked chunky. Like
Yes.
Nigel McGuinness used the phrase unholy afterbirth.
I'd have told him he's got to get off commentary.
Oh, God.
I'd have told him he's got to get off commentary. That is, you don't say stuff like that.
So jumping off the cage, almost blowing your knees at 50 years old, knowing that you've just fucking came back from injury, and then the Gangrel coming out from underneath the ring and just spitting mist in the face, and that's going to stop.
At least it would have been a knee injury, because he's already had an elbow injury, he's already had neck injuries, already had head injuries.
Here's another thing too, and somebody else, the girl you don't like on the show you listen to.
Denise Salcedo.
Yeah, I was watching some of hers, and she was talking about. But she doesn't do that on her YouTube show.
She does.
But she was talking about Gangrel, and she had her and this dude named Reg or something, and they were saying, and I agree, Gangrel came out his old ass, beat up Brody King. Now Brody King should have whooped that old ass. There's no way. Now that's when you have this, and I agree. You had to suspend your disbelief for that one.
You do. You also have to think that it's very similar to, remember when The Fiend would come out and there was the red light on it, and I told you that what would be really cool is that you can't injure The Fiend while the red light's on. Now, obviously, WWE didn't get the opportunity to really work that into anything or whatever. But the supernatural element of Gangrel coming up from under the... Like, if he had just walked down then he was going to get his ass beat.
Mhm.
But because he came from hell
and spit the blood.
Spit the blood.
Okay.
You know, and did all that. Like he was
All right.
he was full power Gangrel at that point. And obviously, I mean, he was this big.
Yeah, he was. No. I'm looking at the so the next match.
Yes, next match
was Willow and Monet.
Yeah, we know who won that.
But apparently, after the match, Statlander attacked Willow.
Yes. So
that was a long time coming, I guess.
And apparently Stokely brought out like a birthday cake or something.
But I don't know.
That's what
Willow. What? It says Willow had the match won with a doctor bomb, but Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway accidentally distracted the ref.
Yep.
This allowed the CEO to hit her finish for the win. Stokely yelled at Willow for losing, but Stat shoved him to the mat. Then Stat attacked Willow as Stoke looked on with a smile.
Which, you know, it's that sounds like one of those moments where it's like, oh, we're going to have someone be your tag team partner, and they're going to go through the entire match getting their ass beat and everything, and then they're going to turn on you 22 minutes into the match. Shut the fuck up.
I think it was after the match she lost.
No, it was. But you see what I mean? Like, it's one of those moments where it's like, why waste my time? But go ahead.
And then I was just reading ahead. The final match, obviously, was Christian and Swerve.
Yes.
Do you think, and I know you're a big Christian fan.
I am.
But do you think the right man went over?
Swerve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just asking because I mean.
I would not have been upset with the way that they've booked Swerve to have him lose, but it would have really felt like Vince McMahon booking. And what I mean by that, folks, is that for the longest time, people sat there and talked about Vince McMahon being racist. And
but you never really had
proof.
But you never really had a black world champion. Now they gave you The Rock, but The Rock wasn't full.
Right.
But afterwards, so it's okay. Then you got Kofi, then you got Biggie. I'm like, all right, cool. But before that, you never had an African American champion. I think that's what people were saying. And then they try to give you The Rock, and you're like, yeah, but you know, he's half black and half Samoan.
Well, but then you can also look at what Kevin Nash was saying recently about how the WWE has always portrayed their strong black characters being comedy acts.
Yep.
And Kevin Nash said, except for Ron, because Ron was a legit badass.
Oh, Ron would kick some ass.
But Coco Beware, Junkyard Dog, Ahmed Johnson.
It started with Mark Henry at first, the whole sexual chocolate thing.
What?
No,
that wasn't at the beginning. He was definitely.
But then they start with the whole Mae Young and Birth of the Hand.
I think that just kind of okay. That one I think naturally took its way of going there. But The Godfather, I mean, like all of them, they were all jokes. Ron the Truth Killings.
What about the dude with the 8 worms?
Well, he that was his gimmick. That was his gimmick.
Fucking Kamala. Yeah, that was
long before.
Yeah, but still, that was still.
He was no, that was Jim Cornette. That one was Jim Cornette. But what I'm saying is that if you look at how Swerve has been booked since becoming the AEW World Champion, it has been a travesty of justice.
And they're trying to give him back that edge now, but it's too late.
But they're not. And by the way,
I just lied. He wasn't the main event. It was the fucking Bucks.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. Is that when Tony Khan started this wrestling company, he said that the main event should almost always, and there are a few occasions where it's not Sting's final match, where the world heavyweight title should be defended last on the card.
And they have up until fucking Swerve on it.
Well, again, the Sting match went on last. I get that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not even going to say that it was the wrong match to go on last based on storylines. My problem is that Swerve hasn't been looked at as a main event player since winning the world fucking title. And I said that. I said that at the beginning. I said that a couple weeks ago. And
that pissed me off the night after he won it. He wasn't even opening. Usually they open the show with your new fucking champion. No, he was like in the middle of the show, and then he defended against fucking nobody.
It was the second segment that first night, but that's my problem.
Yep.
Is that he won the world? Like Samoa Joe would go on last. But Swerve, we're
either put him in the beginning or put him at the end.
Or
not in the middle or second segment, like you said.
I'm okay with putting him on right at the 1 hour mark as well.
I'll even give you that.
There's 3 spots where you put your world title holder on.
I'll give you that. I'm happy with that.
And if you have a 3 hour show, there's 4 spots because you've got that hour mark each fucking time. The fact that they don't do that with Swerve pisses me off because here's a guy who didn't start with your company day one and has made himself the biggest name that you had while MJF was out.
You know what it reminds me of? When somebody else that Vince didn't make came over and they kind of like,
Booker T.
And that's kind of what they're doing. That's what Swerve. He started out, which blows my fucking mind.
Was it the right name?
WWE guy.
Was it the right name? Booker T.
Any of them. Any of those fucking when the WCW guys come out, except for Jericho.
Jericho had to work his ass off to get there.
But still, yeah. Anyway, the fucking elite.
What did I say about this a couple weeks ago when they announced the match? Do you remember?
You said the elite would win.
I also said, because Danielson's in this match and it's a main event match, Danielson's losing.
Perry hit Danielson with a running knee for the pin and the win. When Justin Roberts made the inductions, he said, "Welcome to the shit show."
He did.
Well, remember, because it kind of went back to the first, and he was like, he's like, shit's about to get real. So I think they were trying to incorporate that into it.
Yeah. But anybody that thought Team AEW, quote unquote, had any chance at all of winning this, if anybody thought they had any chance of winning this match at all, they were fucking fooling themselves.
Now let's talk about some of the stupid shit they did. And I didn't see that. I didn't watch this pay-per-view.
The flamethrower?
That's what I was going to say. He fucking set one of the young fucks on fire. He set his little pants on fire. That was funny, but it was fucking dangerous. And you saw they immediately had somebody with a fucking fire extinguisher. So I'm like, God. And they put on, and that's another callback, they put on the Reeboks with the tacks at the bottom. They had Darby Allin hanging upside down, and they super kicked this kid. And it was real because Darby Allin went on, Twitter or something, and he showed his face with all the fucking marks from where he got kicked in the face with thumbtacks.
So, at least one of those major spots went against them because I've always stated that the young fucks sit there and get all of the good spots against their opponents. And here, at least Darby Allin got to set somebody on fire. At the same time, I don't understand why, how, or where in the fucking world someone thinks a flamethrower should ever be included in a pro wrestling match.
At one point, Perry appeared to run over Allen with a truck outside the arena.
I mean, it's anarchy in the arena. They've always had a moving vehicle spot in those matches. Because
Oh,
remember,
I'm sorry, he lit Jungle Boy on fire because he was trying to grab Tony Khan and drag him out. It was Jungle Boy that got lit on fire.
yes, and I bet anything he said "Cry Me a River" at some point during that.
Probably pissed the river a couple of damn fights, man.
Well, he probably can't piss.
Alan was tied to a cable from the rafters. Hardwood was hit with an exploding chair. I don't.
So okay. So based on those giant spots, you're saying it was 3-1 Bucks team over the other team.
Yeah, because Alan said he was still wearing a face mask because when he got hit by the bus, his nose was still broken. So I'm like, so he had a face mask on, his nose was still broken, and his fucking foot was still fucked up from where his ankle was broken.
Yep.
But yeah, we're gonna put him in a match. Out of everybody they could have put in this match, let's bring Darby back.
Well, who else would you put it at? Sammy Guevara?
Why not?
Because people hate him.
Or fucking Garcia. I mean, they could have pulled. This is what I'm saying. Remember, I've talked about this to nauseum. And WWE does the same thing. That you've got so many younger talents. They could have pulled somebody. They could have fucking pulled one of the fucking private party dicks. Or you know what I'm saying? One of the fucking top flight. Or just, I'm saying somebody, you know what I'm saying? Give somebody a chance to shine.
Well, they wouldn't have shined. They'd have gotten their
but you know what I mean.
Kind of. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
But Darby's fucking hurt. You only pulled him because that's a name, and you thought that would.
Well, it allows him to settle even longer now, right?
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
It allows him to sit out longer.
Yeah.
But like ideally, like if you're gonna have Team AEW, why not have fucking John Moxley in that match instead of putting an eliminator match on against Takeshita?
Fucking put Swing Boy in there.
Swing Boy.
Cesaro.
Oh. Yeah, why wasn't Cesaro in that match? Because Eddie Kingston was no longer in the match. Cesaro should have taken his place.
I think but remember he walked away from it. He said, because I saw my friend get hurt in the last one and I didn't want to watch him get hurt.
Well, but he actually said that it was because he also didn't trust Eddie Kingston. And with Eddie Kingston no longer being in the match, why wasn't Cesaro in the match?
I don't know.
It's bad booking, is what it is.
So apparently Bleacher gave it a B+
for the entire pay-per-view. It probably was a B+ pay-per-view in terms of the actual in-ring action. I would think so. Like we've never seen a bad AEW pay-per-view in terms of the match quality. We've seen
common sense.
We've seen horrible storyline telling, and we've seen, like you said, horrible common sense being used. So I mean, overall, like, you had good wrestling, you had train wrecks, you had everything in between.
Gangrel and had MJF come back.
And the MJF comeback, actually, I thought was very well done.
Yes.
I was surprised it happened as early as it did in the show.
I think he's been gone since December.
I meant in the show, though.
Oh.
In the show.
Well, I think it made sense because of the whole Undisputed. And he accidentally fucking slipped up. I think it was Saturday night. He said Undisputed Era. Then he changed it really quickly to Undisputed. One of the commentators. I think it was Mask Man.
Well, it wasn't JR because we should go ahead and make sure that everybody realizes that JR is in the hospital right now, and we're hoping for a quick and just another one of those things as you get old. So we're just hoping for a quick recovery with him.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what's wrong?
Yeah, I saw the picture where everybody's smiling except for him.
His 2 daughters were in the picture with him. Yeah.
Ideally, I'm hoping AEW really looks at their booking mechanism, because their booking has been bad recently.
Mark Henry's contract's up.
It is. He also stated for a fact that him and Tony Khan agreed that because Mark Henry can't apply 100% of his time to continuing to work for AEW, that it's a mutual decision.
Yeah, it was mutual. I'm wondering, you think he'll show back up in WWE, or you think he's done?
I think that he will most likely show up as a legend contract with WWE. He's already a WWE Hall of Famer. He doesn't have to show up in WWE, but I think that he will sign a Legends contract with them, which means he might do appearances at WrestleMania or whatever. But he's got something called
Remarkable or something.
Remarkable, yeah, which is something he's been working on for a while now, and obviously he does a lot of charitable works and stuff like that. So, and not to mention his son is trained to be a wrestler. Oh yeah, Jacob Henry is a boss, dude. Like currently like a Greco-Roman, like Olympic style wrestler, and there's a good possibility that he's just gonna follow in his dad's footsteps. And he's good. Okay. He's also really good on a microphone already. So
how'd you seen that?
Well, he's actually done stuff where he's worked with Busted Open and everything. So I'm trying to think if there's
over 2 hours.
I know. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Wrestling wise, obviously we get to see what happened possibly with Gunther, possibly with Nia Jax tonight. Although Nia Jax will be SmackDown, Gunther should be tonight. But
let's see what's going on with
Liv and Becky
and Dominic. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it's going to take a little while before we see Dominic finally show his true colors. But it could be tonight. Oh, it was me all along. It was me all along, Austin. Anyway. I started watching a show on Netflix called The Gentleman. Mm-hmm. It's by Guy Ritchie. So it's basically about a son that comes back home when he finds out his dad's getting ready to die, and he's the second son in line, but the dad leaves everything to him instead of the older brother. And the older brother is like a real piece of shit that owes like 8 million pounds to like all these people. So like the second son is like trying to get his older brother out of trouble. It's really funny. Okay. It's got Giancarlo Esposito in it, and he's always amazing. But yeah, so I've been watching that, and The Boys obviously comes back in a couple weeks. Pretty excited about that. I just read something, and I was going to send it to you, but I didn't because oftentimes we sit there and get mad when we send something that we have to read.
You do. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, no. You send me stuff where it's just like x.com, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is it? Just tell me what it is, and I can tell you whether or not I've already read it. But it was how Sam Beckett was going to be part of Quantum Leap if he actually had okayed it when they brought the series back. And it was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's Star Trek Discovery ends this week. Final episode, 5 seasons. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. That's it. You got nothing? You want to go and tell everybody what? No? HoodieFan91, SC Tino on Instagram. What's the TikTok for you?
Tino Gray Music.
Tino Gray Music on TikTok.
Yep.
Pachek on
everything.
Twitter. Rob Pachek on just about everything. Rob Potsy Pachek on everything else. And with that, I think it's time to sit there and hit the Motor City machine guns.
Ready? Yep. Motor City machine guns in the Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino show.
That's right. Thanks for watching.